Hi everybody, it's girlonarts here. I'm back with another video. I finally got around to using the clay supplies that I bought for the last video, and I tried my first clay pens. And so this is just a little journey of the problems and successes that I had making my clay pens for the first time. So in the description below, you'll see all the links to the different tools that I used. I ended up getting the Sculpey clay, and I bought some Amazon tools for sculpting. I didn't have anything to cut with, so I used an Easter egg that we had left over to cut out circles, which worked perfectly well. And then I used water to smooth out the sides and edges of each piece just to try to get a smooth finish on it. I also used parchment paper underneath because whenever I tried it without the parchment paper and using just my cutting mat, I found that the clay was sticking to the mat. So the parchment paper kept it from sticking. So I used the clay tools to make the shapes and to cut away from the clay. Those two are cat faces. And this was going to be a rabbit, but I decided to make it into a mushroom instead because I didn't like the way it was working out. Something else that I found useful was tracing and kind of sketching over the clay so that I could more or less know what cuts to make on it. This shape is one of a 4-leaf clover. Something I found helpful also was sketching out the drawing and then laying it on top of the clay and cutting it out that way. I also traced on top of the paper with the tool so that I could get the details. I did that for the rabbit, and I also did that for a frog that I made. It was like making my own stencil. So after finishing these, I popped them into the oven for the recommended time on the package and just let them cool off. Here they are baked. The next step was using my KeShi Rotary tool. I used it to sand down all the inconsistencies or mistakes that were on the pins, just so I could get them all nice and smooth and ready to apply paint on. Make sure to wear a mask during this process because there's a lot of small flying particles in the air, so it helped to wear a mask. Basically, if you haven't used like a rotary tool, it's kind of like a little sanding tool. It's like a small little sandpaper. So after sanding and dusting off the clay pens, I used my Holbein acrylic gouache colors. I did find it a little bit hard or awkward to try to paint and keep them from moving around. I wasn't really sure how to hold them. It was just requiring like a lot of patience to not touch them while they were drying. So yeah, just let them dry on their own and then you can flip them and do the edges and stuff. I decided to paint the front and back just so it would look more polished. For the cat pin, I tried using a Posca pen for his eyes, but I didn't like how translucent it was coming out, so I decided to use just the Holbein acrylic gouache paint again to make the eyes. And you'll see me working on these a few times because I couldn't get them to look exactly the same. They're a little bit off. I finally decided to let it dry and put it off to the side and worked on a different one. I was really liking how this mushroom was turning out. I'm really happy with it. I'll try to do it again, but as you'll see soon, I had some other issues with him and it didn't quite turn out. So after painting all of the clay pins, I didn't get the process where I glued the clay pin backings to the back of each clay pin. I used the E6000 glue and just put one little dot of glue and stuck the back of one of the backings to the clay pin. I also had some corks that I had already pre-cut, and I stabbed the clay pin into the cork so that it would be like flat. I wanted the pins to be able to lie flat and lifted for whenever I added the resin. I'm afraid if you don't lift them up away from the UV lamp, the resin will actually stick to the tray. So that's why I put something for them to stand on. I was putting a really thin coat of resin all around. I think what I'll do in the future is put the resin on the back side of the pin first. In case there's like any dripping or anything, you won't be able to see it since it's on the back. And then after doing the back, I'm going to do the front. Something else I learned is that to not put the clay pins too close together in the UV lamp whenever they're getting the UV light. If they're too close together, if they're touching, they will get stuck together. And unfortunately, that's how I lost my mushroom and one of my evil eyes. They got stuck together and I had to pull them apart. And whenever I pulled them apart, the resin and the paint kind of chipped off onto each other. So you can see me using the Melody Susie UV lamp here, and I put each one of the clay pins in for about maybe 5 turns. I think it was on the highest setting. Even after those 5 rounds of the UV lamp, they still were a little bit tacky, but not too bad. I would just left them in a windowsill in the on a sunny day, and they pretty much dried on their own after that. I was pretty happy with how they turned out. They were really shiny and pretty. You just have to be careful not to get like particles or cat hair or anything like that near them, because it will show up, it will stick. So just try to work in a nice clean area. And definitely wear a mask or gloves. The UV resin was very strong. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and now you get to watch my dog Frodo do some tricks. Thanks, and I hope to see y'all soon.
All right, sit, 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 sit. Come on, I got treats over there. I can get them for you. Sit. Lay down. Lay down. No? All right, let's take off the bandana. Okay, how about now? Okay, ready? Okay, ready? Sit. Good boy. Shake. Good boy. Lay down. Lay down. Oh, it's so good. Ready? Turn right. Turn right. Turn left. So good. Good boy.